In this video we are going to see about the keys of database management system by Dr. M. Anu. So first of all we are going to see about what is a super key, right? So super key means it is a set of one or more attribute, so when combined uniquely identifies the record in a table. So with the help of more than one key or the combination of key which will uniquely identify a record inside a table. Okay, in example you can see that there is a student table. In the student table we have some of the field name called as student ID, name and department. So the combination of these three things will be uniquely identifying a record inside a table, and that key is known as super key. The second key that I am going to discuss here is candidate key. So what is a candidate key? So we can say that candidate key is a minimal super key, right? Which means that there is no subset of a candidate key can uniquely identify a record. So you know what is a subset, right? So if I am having a set, okay, so the element which is coming inside the set is known as what? Subset, right? So in this example called as students table, student ID and name comma department, right, would be a candidate key. So what is student ID? Student ID is a primary key, right? So it is the minimal super key, which means that no subset of the candidate key can uniquely identify a record. So without student ID we cannot identify. Okay, without student ID we cannot identify because which is not a subset, right? So I can say that name and department would be the candidate key when I am taking the combination of these three, right? So that is known as what? Candidate key. So now what is primary key, right? So by choosing student ID as the primary key, which ensures each and every student has a unique identifier, which means that each and every student has its unique ID, and that ID is known as student ID, and we can consider that key as the primary key. So which means that the candidate key that can be uniquely identifying a record inside a table can be considered as a primary key, right? So that is known as what? Primary key. Now we are going to see about an alternate key. So what is an alternate key? So alternate key is a candidate key which was not chosen as a primary key. So other than the primary key, if there is any key present inside the table, then I can consider that key as the alternate key. So you can see here in this example, name, department as well as student ID are the three combination. When I am considering student ID as a primary key and name and department comes under the candidate key, which is also an alternate key which is used for determining the record inside the table, right? So that is known as what? Alternate key. I will be explaining you with the help of a table where you can understand that, right? So what is foreign key, right? So if you are having two tables, in one table the key may be appearing as the primary key, and in other table the same key is available which is not the primary key in that table, which may be considered as the foreign key, and that is known as the foreign key, right? So now you can see the example here. So there are student ID, name, department, age as well as GPA, right? You can see here 101, 102 and 103. These three are the unique ID where I can say 101, 102 and 103 are the primary key. So now what is a super key? A combination, okay, a combination of what? Unique data or distinct data, right? You can see here student ID, name and department. So each and everything are what? Different, as well as age, right? So all these can be considered as what? Super key. So when I am dividing the super key into two different types, right? Student ID will be what? Primary key, and name and department will comes under what? Candidate key, right? So alternate key is not the primary key, right? Alternate key is not the primary key. So if student ID is the primary key, then I can say that name and department will be the alternate key, right? So here I am not using what ID called as department ID, right? So we have student ID where there in another table we are using a ID called as department ID, which is referring to what? This table, right? And this table, when we are referring this table, then that can be considered as what? A foreign key, right? So that is all for this video. See you in the next video. Thank you.